Welcome to the Simple Marketing Podcast. In this episode, you will discover how to silence that little voice inside your head that says you can't do it, how to stop doing things you don't want to do, how we keep making the same mistakes over and over, and why we do that, and how to stop it, what beliefs are, and when some of them keep us from doing our best. My guest today is Coach Omar. Omar, welcome.
Hey, Mustafa, thanks so much. Happy to be here. And this is like this topic could have been done by Socrates sitting on a stone step saying, it's your mindset.
Exactly. Mindset is one of my favorite topics. And today's topic is mindset mastery, the game changer for sales success. Both mindset and sales are important. And you can't wait to tap into this really interesting conversation. Let me do the brief intro and bio for Omar. And we're going to dive into a very interesting conversation. Omar Hamid is an expert in changing individual behavior and improving team dynamics. He uses techniques and tools from the world of applied neuroscience and NLP to make individuals and organizations more successful. He has helped thousands of salespeople to crack their mental blocks and become exceptional. Omar, where about are you?
So I'm in Toronto, Canada, and I can see Salesforce just across the window there.
Nice. So you're downtown Toronto?
Downtown Toronto.
Love it. Love it. Love it. What's it like out there? Is it warm? Is it cold?
It's a little bit of flurries. It's kind of cold. Winter is here.
Yeah.
Winter is coming, like the guy from Game of Thrones. In this case, I'm actually telling the truth. Winter is here.
Winter is here. Well, we got winter in Calgary too. It warmed up a little bit for us.
Oh, nice.
But it is winter. It's like 4 degrees Celsius above zero, and we're like, it's kind of warm. That's how it is in Calgary, at least.
Yeah, that is warm for Calgary. Nice spring day.
Absolutely. So let's get it started. Omar, what's your story?
So the story is I was born in Pakistan, and when I was 3, we moved to the UK. So I grew up in the UK, and it was an interesting time. No matter which country you go to in the world, then whoever the next set of immigrants are coming in, they're the bad guys. You're stealing our jobs, and you're creating chaos. And I remember one of my mentors in Canada, he was Polish. When he came to Canada, it was like the Polish people. It's like those darn Poles are stealing our jobs. So when I went there was a lot of racism and abuse. And when I was 14, moved to Canada and came to Canada. And this is where I went to high school and got into the computer business, got into high tech, and got my first exposure to Tony Robbins. And it was like, this guy sounds interesting. Like this thought that you can actually change your thoughts and build the life that you want. And I got so intrigued that I went to see this woman that did neuro-linguistic programming. Her name was Una Elliott. And I went in and I went, before I let you inside my head, what the hell is this stuff? And so she told me what it was. And it was a life-changing moment where I had this block I didn't realize I had. And she helped me release it. And there was like a Umar before and an Umar after. And it was like, promise to self, one day I'm going to learn this. And when I was 30, got married. At 31, moved to the States, went to Silicon Valley, worked my way up into the high-tech world. And in 2003, what was going on was this, is I was consulting with companies in Europe, Asia, and the US. And no matter where in the world the company was, they had employees that when the CEO looked at them, it's like Mustafa can be a rock star, but he's just not displaying it. Why not? And Mustafa wants to be, totally amazing and powerful as well. So if the person wants to improve, the company wants to support them with coaching and training, why aren't they improving at the level that they should? And that was the question that I wanted to solve. And I thought back to that NLP days. So I left high tech and started focusing on brain tech, became a really good hypnotist. Do not look into my eyes. And became a trainer of NLP, started going deep into applied neuroscience, put up my shingle and started working with a ton of people to master the craft. And that's what I've been doing since 2003. I've written 3 books on the subject. I've spoken in conferences in 16 countries, because no matter where in the world you go, that mindset question is like, man, if it wasn't for the people, this would be a great gig. And it's like, we can see the promise in our friends, our families, our employees. I wanted to change the world by empowering people with the tools they need to take charge of their mindset. If I could do that, I'd make an impact in the world. And that's what almost brings me here to Toronto. In 2001, April, I had this thought, Umar, you do all this good work, but have you made an impact in the world? And the answer was not at all. And I thought, man, if I stay here in this comfortable house with my comfortable friends and my comfortable clients, nothing is ever going to change. So within a month, I sold my house, got rid of all my possessions, went down to 10 t-shirts, technology, and started traveling the world, because that's what the ancients did. They went on a quest to uncover what needed to be done. And what came out of that was, I need to empower people from kids to adults, a simple way to take charge of their mindset. And what ended up happening was I created this program called Mindset Boosters, which is transformational. So if you're feeling anxiety, within 5 minutes, the anxiety will go away, get on with your day and do amazing things. If you are wanting to feel unstoppable, you can switch that on. And so that is the culmination of my life's work, is to give people the power to decide how they want to act or feel in the palm of their hand.
Interesting. That's an interesting story. You had quite a journey.
Yeah. And note to everyone, go traveling. One thing you'll notice is, no matter where in the world you go, because I traveled to a lot of places, people are generous and caring and will do anything to help you. There's probably 1% bad actors in every culture. Don't go near them, but everybody else is dying to help you get what you want.
I think it's like probably one of the most maturing activities to do is traveling around the world to get exposed to different cultures and people and history and all that. I've got a long bucket list for travels.
Do it now, because you never know when you won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
And there's this book called Startup Nation. Everyone, if you're listening to this, write this down. It's a book about why Israelis are so successful as entrepreneurs. And this was the premise of the book, is that kids come out of high school and they have 2 years of conscription in the army, and it teaches them leadership. And before they start university, they have a year of travel. And there's something about getting that leadership done early and seeing the world that allows people to just create their own futures. And so books recommended, and you traveling is going to give you ideas to just become the best version of yourself.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, traveling. I think most of the maturest people that I've come across are people that have traveled around the world, that have been exposed to different cultures. So it is beautiful. Love it. So what do you do these days, and who do you serve?
So these days, do 2 things. One is do workshops. It's the sales warrior mindset, and it's teaching people how to switch on unstoppableness when and where they need it, how to let go of past events, how to basically become like a ninja basically in your life. And the second thing is the mindset boosters, giving people the technology they need to decide how they feel. And on that workshop, the warrior mindset, at the end of the workshop, and Mustafa, you may have done this yourself, I give people a board of wood, 10 inches by 10 inches, 1 inch thick. And what I want people to do is to break it. And I get them, that becomes a metaphor. Where in your life are you doing phenomenally well? And where in your life do you want to do well, but you can't seem to do it? There's a block there, and I'm going to show you how to break through the blocks. And this board break becomes a manifestation of you becoming a badass and break through anything. And here's the interesting part. I get people to write their biggest fear on the board. And on this one particular training, this woman comes up to me and says, Umar, I used to do Taekwondo. I haven't broken a board in a while. I can't wait to do it again. So super excited. And so at the end of the workshop, people come up and she comes up with her board and she puts it down on the pedestal. And it says, I'm a fraud. And she wants to break through that. And she goes to break it and she can't break it. She tries 3 times and I don't want her to hurt her hand anymore. Says, please grab a seat. You can try again in a little while. And other people break the board. Then she comes up and she tries to break it again and can't break it. And then I get a notion, I think I know what's going on. So I say, you know what? You've got a defective board. Let me get another board. And I get a pristine board with nothing written on it. Her biggest fear is not written on the board. We put it on the pedestal and she goes, bam, and she breaks it instantly, easily. Then I get her board with I'm a fraud and I flip it upside down so she can't read the writing and she breaks that board. That's the power of mindset.
Absolutely.
And this has happened many times, that whatever our block is, most of the time it's in our unconscious holding us back. And we're not sure why we can't accomplish. And humans are making machines. We make meaning out of it. The reason I can't succeed is because of the economy, or because of my education, or because of my friends, or because of this, instead of looking the one place where the solution is. What belief in here is holding me back?
Interesting. Love it. So tell us about the definition of mindset. What does that mean in your world?
So mindset to me, and there's many definitions, but my one would be this. It's all the experiences that we've had in the past have created a filter that limits our thinking. So when we go to take a look at something with a mindset, so let's say it's like, Mustafa, you'll never be able to do this. You are a failure. If you've got a particular mindset, you kind of go, oh yeah, let me show you. And that becomes a battle cry. And the best version of yourself comes out. And for somebody else, that same statement would be like a shoulders go down. It's like, yeah, it's true. So mindset is how we see the world and how we interpret the world. Like I could be at an event and somebody is looking at me in a certain way. And if I have a weak mindset, it's like, oh, they know I'm a fraud. They're looking down at me, when they could be looking at the person behind you and they got nothing to do with you. But mindset is how we interact with the world. Like on the cell, we used to think the nucleus was where everything happened. And if the nucleus died, the cell would die. It turns out, no, you can go into a cell and pull out the nucleus and it's perfectly fine, as if nothing happened. It just can't replicate. But the most important thing is the outside of the cell, where it touches the outside world. That's our mindset.
And so I know you touched on it already, but why is mindset important and why should we pay attention to it?
So let me ask you a question first, Mustafa. Have you ever had a day, one of those golden days where you wake up in the morning and you just know this is going to be a fantastic day? Everybody you talk to is going to say yes. And no matter what happens, flat tire, customer goes sideways, you don't care. You're just at the top of the world. And those days, at the end of the day, you have way more successes than you would have had, way more happiness. Have you had days like that?
Absolutely.
And have you had days where it's just like nothing goes right in those days?
Yep.
Both those things are mindset. You had a certain brain chemistry that caused you to have this negative mindset where things went just badly, or you had this chemical cocktail in your brain that allowed you to just smile and go. And just because you were joyous, people were joyous and they said yes. So my mother-in-law, she's like a smarter woman. She was in her 90s and she was babysitting these kids. And this one kid comes down that she was babysitting, quite grumpy. And she goes, you know what? You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Go back upstairs, get into bed and get out on the other side. And of course, the kid comes down smiling because it's such a ridiculous thing to do, but it changed the mindset like that. So,
love it.
So here's an interesting thing that can you, people watching this, listening to this, just imagine if I had a piece of paper and I drew a rectangle on it. at the top and 2 squares underneath. And there was a blank space between the 3 items that looked like a T. So it's a big block at the top and 2 on the side. And I show it to 100 people. I just flip the flip chart over and say, what do you see first? And some people will see the 2 squares at the bottom that look identical because they sort for similarities. That's their mindset. And some people look for differences and they'll see the rectangle at the top, the T part. And some people see the white space in the middle that creates the T. That's mindset, how you're predisposed to see the world. And some people see the world as opportunity, and some people see the world as it's out to get me. And some people have already given up and it's just like, whatever happens, happens. As long as I can make, do, and survive, it's okay. And I want you to know, Mustafa, that and listeners, when you were born, you are superhuman. Just think about it. You are the most pathetic baby in the entire world. Like deer, when they have their young ones, they get up and they start moving around. As babies, we're helpless, but yet we have the ability to get our parents to protect us, to change our poopy diapers, to feed us, to drive us around in cars. And when we start growing up, we have wonder. Whatever we want, we get. Then somehow during that childhood process, we get these beliefs that make us think that we're less than. And we start doubting ourselves. And that inner voice that you said at the beginning of the show, that negative voice. If you and I were at an auditorium with 1,000 people and I said, how many people here have a negative voice inside their head? Every single freaking hand would go up, except maybe one person, because we all have it. And that voice, here's my insight after doing this since 2003. You and I can see the results we get in sales, in business, in life, in love. It's easy to see the results. And we go, oh, how do I get those results? I do this behavior and this gets me the result that I'm getting, good or bad. And then we go, hey, we go to an expert, we go to Mustafa, I'm not getting the results I want. And you go, oh, you're doing this behavior. Don't do this behavior. Do this other behavior. That's what you need to do. And I go, okay. And I try and change the behavior and I can't because I'm stuck, because there's something holding it in place. And what's holding it in place is a belief in our unconscious. And it's like a black hole of gravity. The strongest force in the universe holds that behavior in place. And once in a while, we get inspired to change that behavior. And Mustafa, you've met people that have gone to a workshop that have gone, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I'm going to change everything. And they come back for a week and they do change everything. And they revert back to what they used to do so quickly, because underneath every behavior that counts is a belief in our unconscious that controls it. The only problem is it's in our unconscious and we're not aware of it. We just know that this behavior is locked in place and we can't change it. So instead of taking more and more trainings to try and change the behavior, what if we had the ability to easily go down to the level of the belief to help you uncover the belief that's stopping you? And if we could do that, we could change that belief. And if you're interested, we talk about what a belief could look like that blocks someone, and more importantly, how to change the belief so you become spectacular.
100%. I literally wrote a blog about this, I think a few days ago, and I talked about how the first time I created a marketing plan, I felt like I'm going to own the world, and it was amazing. I felt like I discovered fire, and I knew exactly what I was doing. I checked it for like 2 days, and then I was like, I'm so smart. I got this. I know what I'm doing. And then a few days later, I was exactly where I ended up exactly where I was before I created the plan. And then I stopped looking at the plan and it just went back to everything that was before. And then I'm like, I thought I had a plan. I thought I'm going to conquer the world. Like when I created, it was like Bill Gates. Who was that loser? Right? Like, I'm going to conquer the world. But then, like you said, it just went back to exactly where it used to be with the habits. We talked about some of the challenges and the things that hold us back. So what are limiting beliefs and where do they come from?
So everything was perfect when, dear listener, you were a baby and you were just a lump. You're in your crib. doing baby stuff, which is not a lot of stuff. Everything was fine. Your parents loved you. And it's like, oh, look at that blob. We love it. It's the cutest thing ever. And the baby across the street is super ugly compared to ours. But problems started when babies start to crawl and they get mobility. Just picture this scene for a moment. Mom and dad are watching TV. Baby's on a blanket playing with a toy. Then mom looks down and baby is crawling towards a dime that's lying on the floor, and the baby's picked up the dime and is about to put it in his mouth. And to mom's eyes, the dime's going to go and clog his throat and choke it, and it's going to die. And mom goes into fight or flight response, and she doesn't go, honey, that's dirty, put it down. Mom goes, no, bad, dirty, because she's afraid for the baby's life.
Yeah.
So the baby goes, wait a minute. The one person in the world that loves me unconditionally has stopped loving me. And so the baby gets mad. Either he gets mad at the mom for doing it, but most babies get mad at themselves. What did I do? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What if mom stops loving me? And so our parents used emotions to control us, because although many of the things in the world are perfectly safe, when you're a baby or a small kid, cars driving down the street are dangerous. And so parents used emotions, fear, anger, guilt, hurt feelings to control us. Nobody gave them a course on how to do that. Just naturally what we do as human beings. And what the message they gave us was this: you can do anything that I've shown you to do, but don't do anything I haven't shown you before. And that is the comfort zone. And the walls of the comfort zone are the emotions our parents used to control us. And they controlled us for our own good so we would not get injured. But what was useful when we were toddlers to stop us falling down the stairs now stop us from starting a business, writing a book. Oh, that amazingly beautiful stranger across the street could be my soulmate. And we go towards them and that voice comes up and says, they're going to reject you. The pain of rejection will be so terrible that it's not even worth approaching them. And so the soulmate that you would have had is not. So our comfort zone is what we wrestle with.
Going back to limiting beliefs and childhood experiences, what are like some of the best ways to find those limiting beliefs if we want to, I guess, one, identify what is the problem, two, get past these beliefs and.
Sure. And so let me ask you a question, Mustafa.
Sure.
By any chance, do you have a dream to be an opera singer?
No, not me.
Of course not. And you're not an opera singer. And I guess you don't cry yourself to sleep about being an opera singer.
Mm-mm.
But there are probably things that you want to do that, you hesitate or you do it, but you don't do it at the level you want. You could do better. And those things, what happens is when we go to do those things, you feel uncomfortable, and you feel uncomfortable in your body when you go to do those things. At no time in your life have you ever felt uncomfortable when you had the thought, oh, I can't be an opera singer. Never have you had anxiety. So listen to your body. Your body is such an amazing gift, because our mind will lie to us. Our mind will distract us, but our body always tells the truth. So when you go to do something that's important to you and you're not doing it at the level you want, you get this uncomfortable feeling in your body. So let me ask you, Mustafa, what's one thing that you wish you could do that you don't do right now? You were talking about, revealing yourself to your audience. What's an area where you hold yourself back? Something that's important to you that you don't do?
What's something that's important to me that I don't do? Right now, what's coming to mind is probably exercising more.
Yeah. So think about a particular time, Mustafa, where you wanted to exercise and you convinced yourself you shouldn't, or at the end of the day, you were beating yourself up like, what the hell? I should have done it. What a loser. Can you think of one of those moments where you, so think of a specific moment when you got it nod your head?
Yeah.
So I want you in your mind's eye to go back to that moment when you were beating yourself up beating yourself up about not exercising. So go there and see what you saw back then, hear what you heard, even your inner voice telling you, what a loser you are. And when you do those two things, you get to re-experience what you were feeling in your body. Where in your body do you feel that uncomfortable feeling?
In my stomach.
So put your hand on your stomach where you feel that feeling right now. You're feeling it now, right?
Yeah.
And when you put your hand there, I want you to just say hello to that feeling and go, hello. What are you trying to get me to pay attention to? Or what are you trying to get me to avoid? What's the answer that comes back from that feeling?
Paying attention to just my phone and social media.
So it wants you to stop doing that?
So the idea would be to go for a walk after dinner.
Yeah.
And then I would come up with different excuses to not go, although it's super simple. And excuses that would come up with, oh, I'm just gonna go sit down, check my phone, hang out with my kids, and watch TV and do all that.
So one of the things we would do is that feeling that you have. There's a tool from neuroscience that we can trace that feeling back. It takes a longer time than we have now to the first time you felt it. And when we go back to that time, so I'll give you an example. I was working with this guy who's the number one salesperson for this company. And I'm working with the rest of the sales team and helping them on their mental blocks. Like, what's the mental block that stops you from being exceptional? This guy comes in, and this guy, when he walks by, the VP of sales bows down. Is like, Paul, you are amazing. Because, he's like a rock star. He comes in and it's like, dude, how can I help you? You're already like this amazing salesperson. He says, there is one area that I have a difficult time asking for referrals. What he sells is a minimum of $500,000 to corporations. Asking for $500,000 or $1 million for a sale, no problem. You need this. This is a solution. This is what it costs. But if I go to, this is Paul talking now, ask for a referral, either I'll ask badly or I'll distract myself and not do it.
Yeah.
So I said, Paul, do me a favor. Think of a time you went to ask for a referral and you did it badly, or you distracted yourself and you didn't do it. And he thinks of a time when that happened. We get that feeling. We use this tool to go back to the first time he felt it. And he instantly went back to a forgotten memory. Oh my God. I was about 7 years old. I was in the kitchen with my dad. My dad had a buddy from work over, and the two guys were having coffee, shooting the shit. And my dad went to his friend and said, real men don't ask for help. And little Paul picked that thought up, and it became a belief that it's not okay to ask for help. So Mustafa, when I ask you for $500,000 to protect your network with security, I'm not asking for help, buddy. I'm helping you out. But when I go to ask for a referral after I've done an amazing job for you, that was violating the belief that he got when he was 7 years old. So he figured out the belief. We changed the belief. And I get a call back from him saying, Umar, I'm not sure what the hell you did, man, but I'm asking my top clients for referrals, and they're so happy to give back to me. So my sales are going to go up 30% this year, but something weird's happening. It's like, Paul, what's happening that's weird? He goes, cold calling was an okay thing for me to do, not a big deal. But now I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm not sure why. And the reason he's enjoying it is the first part of a phone call is asking for a favor. Mustafa, can I have 15 seconds of your time? And it was violating that belief. And so the thing we need to know is that when we have a belief, it's like, think of a bunch of grapes. Can you envision a bunch of grapes?
Yeah.
There's a stem, and from that stem, we get a bunch of grapes beneath it, right? The stem is the core belief that we get. And let's say the core belief was for you, Mustafa, that no one likes you. Let's say you were a kid and the teacher says, you'll never amount to much. By the way, a lot of clients that I've had in the past, they've had a teacher in front of the class tell them that they're going to be a loser when they grow up. What kind of psycho teacher would do that? But that happens. So let's say the teacher said to you, you'll never amount to much. Then you're 8 years old and you've got 8 years of experience where you are enough. You are amazing. Your parents love you. Your nana loves you. You've done things at school and awards and friends. And you've got all this data that supports that you're freaking amazing. But this one teacher in authority in front of the class, it became like here's how beliefs happen, is that if there's an event that happens that has a lot of emotions attached to it, human beings go, oh, this must be important. I make meaning out of it. And let's say you made the meaning that I'm not good enough. Even though you got 8 years of experience that you are good enough, because it was such a strong event, it created the stem. And then as you move forward, let's say dad, there was like he was handing out candies, and just by random, he gave it to your sister first, then you, because now you've got this stupid belief, I'm not good enough. Then you go, oh, dad thinks I'm not good enough. I'm second rate. And another grape comes up on that stem. And then you start looking for evidence to support this belief that was total BS in the first place. And before you know, you got a bunch of grapes around this stem, and it's so scary they can't even go near it. That's why getting a feeling to trace down to the stem is the most important. And when you have the stem and you put your hand like tightly around it and you pull the stem, all the grapes fall off at once. And where traditional therapy goes is go, oh, here's a grape. Most of all, let's work on this grape. And they work on it and they cure it, but the stem is still there. All the other grapes are there. Guess what? Another grape grows. So that's why I like what I do, is the ability to help people go down to the core belief.
Yeah.
And just before I kind of give it back to you, is the opposite is true. Let's say Mustafa was 6 years old and somebody in authority in this amazing way said, Mustafa, you're the most amazing boy ever. You're so handsome. And of course, Mustafa, in your case, I can see you. That is a lie. But let's say you believe that because it was such a great feeling. The same thing happens, that somebody, your dad's handing out candy, gives it to your sister first. And you're like, oh my God, he's using my sister as a taste tester in case it's bad because dad loves me. And all of a sudden we start seeing the world to validate that belief, because beliefs are self-fulfilling prophecies. And the beliefs that support you get stronger, and the beliefs that deny you get stronger as well.
I think when it comes to change, your analogy of holding on to the stem and then letting go of the grapes. I think a lot of people have the fear of letting go of their grapes and feeling empty. I was listening to a guy the other day who's saying, well, you gotta, if your cup is full and you want to change, you gotta empty your cup first, and then so you could refill it with something else. But there's that fear of what if my cup gets empty? What if I have no grapes? What if there's emptiness?
Good question. So here's my best analogy for that. I love the cup idea. So when you were born, Mustafa, or dear listeners, you had a cup, and this cup was brimming. And by brimming is there's so much precious oil in it that there is a dome of oil around it. That should not happen, but it happens. That you're brimming with this precious oil, and that oil allows you to be your authentic self and see the world in a way with wonder that anything and everything is possible. But the first time you doubt yourself or you tell a lie, water drips onto that precious cup. And as soon as it touches that brim, it spills over the side of the cup, and water is heavier than oil, and it goes down into the cup to the bottom of the cup. And there's only one drop there, not a big deal. But as when we doubt ourselves, or that negative voice comes up, or we lose a job, or we lose a girl, or we lose a deal, or we settle for a smaller life, we get more and more water coming into our cup. So it's always filled. But the problem is it only has a small amount of precious oil. And when we remove those negative beliefs, we drain that water, and it has to be replaced. Because here's the trick. The trick is this, is that let's say somebody had a negative belief that I'm unlovable. Do you know how potent that belief would be for someone?
Yeah.
And every single belief, positive or negative, has a positive intention. And let's say the positive intention of a belief. Can you imagine a belief, I'm not lovable? It could be destructive to one person, but the positive intention could be is that it keeps me safe. Because if I'm unlovable, I don't take a chance and go approach someone, or I don't fully open up to someone. Mm-hmm. And because of that barrier is there, I have a smaller life, but that's a small price to pay to be safe. So the trick is this. Let's say I'm unlovable is here, and I'm holding on to this belief that I'm unlovable, and dear listeners, if you're listening to this, I've got a fist and you can see my arm and I'm holding a pen there.
Yeah.
With a death grip. If you were in the room with me now, Mustafa, you and I would wrestle for half an hour before you got that pen out of my hand, because that belief is so important to me. But what if we got another belief that I do good in the world and people appreciate me? Let's say that was the belief that we created. And that would be the ultimate safety, right? Because people would value me and I'd feel good about myself and I'd be more confident. And we get this new belief. And what happens is the positive intention that's there lets go of the old belief and automatically attaches onto the new belief. And instead of this belief being an ether, a wish, it takes that 30 years of positive intention and it latches onto it. And it's like that very thing that was holding you back, rather than just letting go of it, we repurpose it to give you a better belief. So it's not something that's weak. It's something that's got 30 years of strength. And the strength is it's here to keep you safe. But rather than doubting yourself, it lets you be a giant in this world and step out there and help people and get confidence and build a happier life. And that, my friend, is what allows a ton of precious oil to go in there. So you're never empty. What you do have is you've got more water or more oil. And if you're one of these amazing human beings that just has a cup filled with precious oil, that's where you start new industries. That's where you make the world a better place. That's where you leave a mark on the world.
Do you have any tips for handling or dealing with that empty phase, or the in-between phase, the empty where there is the cup is empty, and let's say that you forget how to walk.
Yes.
Okay. And then now you got to learn a new way to walk. But that unlearned phase, the empty phase, is kind of a pain that people try to avoid. Do you have any tips on how to cope with that and how to, I guess, deal with it and come?
Two ways. So my work is all about the cup is never freaking empty. And when change happens, it happens like this. Then I'll give you a tool how to do what you want as well. So I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. So just imagine this moment in someone's life that they worry. Things are not going well. They doubt themselves. There's stress. And they get to a stage where it starts impacting their health. They get to a stage where they get cancer. They get to a stage where they're on death's door. And then sometimes something magical happens, is that we call it remission. Oh my God, you got remission. You're getting better. But we don't use language accidentally. We use language on purpose, even when we don't realize we're doing it. What happens for a lot of people is this: they get to death's door, and as they're pondering the life that they had, they start realizing what was the most important thing in their life, and they get a new mission. And when they get that insight and a new mission is when they start healing themselves. So some people think is I start healing myself and I get this thing called remission. World according to Umar, not so much. That you examine your life and you rethink it and you go, oh my God, what I'm here to do is this. This is more important. And that notion starts changing things. And all the things that we're using to heal you all of a sudden start working. And you go on this new mission. So the change happened. You had to get headaches, stress, job loss, bad marriage, doubting yourself, 25 years of pain and suffering to get to death's door. And then in a moment, it changed. Or you've got someone that is stuck in some way. They go to a therapist one Thursday afternoon. The therapist says something and it changes the way they see the world. The change happened in a moment. It's not the 6 months or the 20 years. Change happens in a moment. So the change I'm talking about, when the change happens, there is no emptiness. You just move on. But here's a tool that's going to help you if you are in the empty phase. So Mustafa, let me ask you a question. How important is self-esteem to getting the life that you want in this world?
Extremely.
Yeah. So the question is, how do you get stronger self-esteem? And one of the ways to do that is to watch an inspirational movie or go watch one of the masters on the stage that's going to talk to you, Mustafa. Mustafa, you are built with stars, baby. You're meant to shine. And you're like, I can do it. Hold that thought. I'm in Toronto. When I used to live here a million years ago, my best friend Mohsen and I went to see Rocky. We went from where we lived, took a bus to Square One to watch Rocky. And it was such an inspirational movie. It was a snowy night. We didn't take the bus back. We ran back in the snow. But that motivation didn't last very long. So when we use extrinsic motivation, motivational speakers, or go to a workshop, or do that kind of stuff, it's helpful and amazing and magical, but it doesn't last. So I'm going to teach you a way that you can intrinsically change your self-esteem whenever you want. So, dear listeners and viewers, and Mustafa, you're going to be my guinea pig in this.
Sure.
So on a scale of 1 to 100, what is your level of self-esteem right now? If you asked within, 100 would be a character at the end of a Disney movie. 0 would be, or 1 would be, you're totally depressed. So when you ask yourself, what's my level of self-esteem? A number pops up. What's that number?
Somewhere between 70 to 80.
Yeah, somewhere 70 to 80. Excellent. So go on this thought experiment with me, dear listeners and Mustafa. So the Toronto Star, which is a national newspaper here in Canada, is going to write an article about you. And you're really flattered and you're excited about the interview, but your friends say, Mustafa, you just can't wing it. You got to get ready for this interview. So you go into this room that's divided into by a glass wall, and you're on one side of the glass wall, sitting at a desk, writing your accomplishments with a pen. And you go all the way back to when you were in kindergarten, making those finger paintings that your parents loved. And you go back to when you were doing things in kindergarten and elementary school you were proud of, maybe sporting events or academic achievements, things you did for your siblings and your family, summer jobs, projects you did in high school. You're writing your accomplishments, what you did in college for your church, as you're working right now. And as you're writing your accomplishments on that side of the wall, the essence of who you are, some people might call it higher self or spirit, steps out of your body and floats over to the other side of the glass wall, so you can watch yourself on that side of the room writing your accomplishments. So see that now. And as you're watching yourself write your accomplishments on the other side of the room, I want you to think of someone in your life that loves you very much. Mustafa, who's that person for you? Someone that loves you very much.
My son.
Yeah, what's your son's name?
Ali.
So just imagine Ali standing next to you on the other side of the glass wall, watching you write your accomplishments. And dear viewers and listeners, whoever that is for you, have them standing right next to you. And since your spirit, step into that person's body and see yourself through their loving eyes. And just bask in the richness of their vision of you. And since you're in their body, you can hear their thoughts about you, how much they love you and how much they care about you. And just enjoy that. And since you're in their body, feel the depth of their emotion for you, fully and completely. And when you've got all three, step out of their body, go through the glass wall, and step back into where you are right now, listening to my voice. When you step back into your body, notice your self-esteem and notice it's changed. What's it changed to, Mustafa?
I'd give it a 90 now.
Yeah. So that you can do before an important meeting, that you can do before you go out on a date, that you can do. Just imagine if you did that before you prayed to your maker, to God, that your self-esteem came up. And this is not showing off, but you would be worthy of that connection. And it just opens up your spirit to have a more profound experience.
Interesting.
So what I want to teach people is you have the power to decide how you feel and act in any situation. The only problem is we've learned so many things in this world from our schools, our universities, but the most important thing is the only thing we actually have control over is this amazing gift, this mind, this body, the spirit, but no one's showed us how to do that. And that's what Mindset Boosters does. It gives you tools like this to use when you want it, where you want it, so you show up in a more powerful way. And one of the things I want you to do is I want you to realize, Mustafa, that you are not on this earth alone. That, dear listeners, when you live a smaller life, when you doubt yourself, when you complacency is okay, you're not just hurting yourself. you are a beacon of light to the people around you. You give permission to them to go on that journey as well. So if you can't do it for yourself, do it for the people around you. Let go of the fear, let go of the limiting beliefs, and step into the person you were always meant to be. Remember when you were a baby, anything was possible. That's what you were here to do, is to create the world, make it better. That's what Mindset Boosters does. It allows you to let go of the fear, the doubt, the uncertainty, and step into the best version of yourself so you make a difference in the world.
Love it. I like that idea of the extra that we went through. I've done a lot of studies and work in the area of self-esteem and confidence. And would it be all right if I share a couple that I to boost confidence?
Please, I'm always learning.
Guinea pigging on the back of your idea about thing. I think writing down or reviewing your accomplishments would do that. One thing I do if I'm not feeling good is doing a journal and just downloading everything that's going on in my head on paper or on my phone, like in a matter of 5 minutes, and it's just an instant improvement. Reviewing my goals boost my self-esteem instantly, just knowing where I'm going, and that it gives me the idea that what's happening right now or the issue that I'm having is temporary, and that's exactly where I'm going. Reviewing my bucket list is another good one. Here's another goal idea. And then, so those are a few things that I do too.
So I love those. Let me just add one thing to the first one you mentioned. So writing down your accomplishments, things you're really grateful for, is really good. One thing to make it better is to go to one of the accomplishments that you wrote down, and then go re-experience what it felt like when you did that.
Love it.
Because it's not just the thoughts are powerful, but emotions are way more powerful.
Yeah.
So do that, add emotions to it, and you're going to be super excellent.
Amazing. So, Omar, let's get and talk about more about sales, because that's what we promised people. What are some of the biggest sales mindset mistakes that salespeople or business owners make?
So, not in any particular order, but certainly one of them is we give this miraculous power to the person we're talking to. Oh, they're a CEO, or oh, they run a company, and oh, I have to look up to them. And it's like, no, do not do that. You are an expert in your field. And if you're not, you freaking should be. Don't go in unprepared. Go in there. And if you treat that person as an equal, they're going to respect you as such. If you come in like, oh, Mustafa, can I have like just 5 seconds of your time and just hear my voice? It's like, no, you can't. Have you ever picked up the phone, Mustafa, where somebody's on the phone that you don't know, but because they're so warm with you and rich with you, it's like, do I know you? It's like, it's just this like, oh my God, there's this connection there. And so, one of the things is do not discount yourself. Just know that you're going to add value to them. And because when you treat them as an equal, they treat you as an equal and they respect your time. And why wouldn't you want them to brush you off if you came in this weak way of, or I want something, I want to sell you something, then if you've got that needy thing. So the strongest version of you is your authentic self and the most powerful self. Bring that to sales. So number one, that. Number two, no one cares about Umar except my mom. And so let's say I was going out on a date and somehow I found this amazing creature that was actually way ahead of me in terms of looks and intelligence. And I went, oh, let me tell you about my accomplishments, my car, my house, my friends, my vacations. After about 7 minutes, this woman is going to go, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, and she'll find an exit at the back of the restaurant and leave immediately. But if I went into this thing and like, oh, please tell me about yourself. How did you do this? How did you do that? She's going to go, oh my God, Umar is such an interesting fellow, because I took the time to find out about her. So everyone goes, Umar, that makes perfect sense. Why would you do it any other way? But somehow when we go into sales, it's like, oh, Mustafa, let me tell you about my service and my clients and this and that and the other thing. And of course the person's going to be like, I don't want anything to do with you. So one of the things we need to do is to build up enough trust with the person that you're talking to that they open up and you kind of go, hey, so tell me what's going on for you. And if you build up enough trust, they're going to go, oh, we've got this new product coming out and our IT service is not going to be able to handle that. And I'm trying to figure out how the hell we're going to do this. Oh, really? What have you tried in the past? And then it's all about them. And only after maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes of figuring out what their situation is like, oh yeah, so let me tell you how we can help you fix that. And people do it the opposite way. Let me tell you about 25 minutes about our company and what we do. And of course, people want to hang up on you. So it's all about servicing other people, I think, is what we need to do. So number one, treat yourself as an equal. Two, it's all about figuring out what's going on for them. And number three is you need to be in the right headspace before you go into that sales call or you go into that phone call. And one way certainly is the self-esteem exercise. And so let me teach your listeners another technique so they really get value out of this. Mustafa, do you have something coming up in the future where you need to have your A game on? So it could be a business presentation. What do you have coming up?
I have a sales meeting tomorrow.
Okay. So when you think about that sales meeting and how well you're going to do, and you think about the level of confidence you have in that sales meeting going well, what's the percentage of confidence you have right now?
80 is the number that comes to mind.
Yeah, 80. That makes sense. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So this is what I want you to do, Mustafa. I want you to make a movie inside your head of a perfect meeting tomorrow. Mm-hmm. If that meeting went perfectly for you, make a movie of that event. And when you got that movie, let me know.
Yeah, I'm already excited about it.
Excellent. So you've already got improvements. And here's why making a movie is so important. Because when you think about it, it's an abstract. When you make a movie, you can see the customer's faces. They're smiling. They're leaning forward. Perhaps they're not leaning forward in the movie you just made. Maybe they're just like, Then you go, oh, why are they leaning back? What do I need to change? So who's someone that you know personally, or someone you know of, or someone from history or fiction that could look at the movie you just made and be the director and say, hey, Mustafa, you need to tweak this, or don't forget to do this. Mm-hmm. So either it's you being the director of that movie, making it better, or somebody else. Who would be that person for you? You or someone else that would direct that movie?
That would be me.
Okay. So even though you made this amazing movie of it going phenomenally well, as a director, what do you need to change in that movie that would make the outcome even better?
I know exactly what it is. Practicing my stories.
Nice.
For the sales meeting. And
love that.
It is actually on my list to do sometime tonight or tomorrow morning to make sure that I'm going in prepared.
Love that. And now I want you to step into the movie that you just improved. You made the movie, you made it better. So you can't see yourself. You can see your hands, you can see them, you can see the doorknob. So step into that movie, see it, hear it, feel it, smell it, taste it. And now when you come out of that, when that's completed, you think about your confidence level for that meeting. What is it at now, my friend?
I'd give it a 95.
90-freaking-5. So I've shown you in our conversation today, I've shared 3 important ideas. Number 1 is at the heart of who we are is where we hold our beliefs, positive and negative. And we have the ability to change those. That's why I developed Mindset Boosters. Number 2, I proved to you that you can change how you act or feel in any situation by showing you how you can amp your self-esteem. And number 3, I have answered the question that Einstein proposed. And, anytime you want to seem more intelligent than you are, you throw out Einstein's name. And so this is what I did for you. Einstein said that you cannot solve a problem, I'm going to paraphrase here elegantly, at the same level as the problem. You have to go to a higher level.
Yeah.
And what the third exercise I showed you was make a movie of what you want to have happen. Become the director or bring in, let's say, Tony Robbins or whoever to see the movie to make it better. So you're thinking at a higher level. And then we did one thing else is I had you step into that movie. So you program your neurology of this is what I want to have happen. So number 1, understanding human behavior, that you can change it. 2, proving to you that that is the truth. And number 3, think like Einstein, baby.
Love it. Love it. Uh, Omar, I could definitely continue this conversation for an easy three more hours.
Yes.
Like on mindset, I've spent quite a bit of time on mindset, and my mindset is not the greatest, but I've studied it at length, and I love the topic. You had a gift for us for mindset.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So what that gift is access to Mindset Booster. I'm just bringing it up here on the screen. I've got this thing in. So it's Mindset Boosters, and get a free copy of it. There's 2 free tracks in every version of that. And let me just show you what it looks like. Here we go.
I'm putting the
looks
link
like that.
Okay.
And so let's say you've got a sales issue. You go into the sales area, and it's going to got a fear of phones. It's going to make you fearless for the next 2 hours. You'll be fearless on the phones. So you're going to get a copy of that, 2 free tracks in every category, and it's going to prove to you you have the ability to decide how you act or feel in any situation.
Love it. Love it. And is this mainly for business owners, or does it work for everybody?
It works for kids. It works for everybody, because it's just, as long as you have a brain, it works for you. And it's teaching you how to take charge of this. And you can apply it to dating, to working out. Here's what I want for you and your listeners, Mustafa. I want you to fall madly in love with yourself. Not in a way that is all ego, but if you can love yourself, the best version of you comes out to play. And this is where you're at the highest service to the people around you.
Yeah, that's the reason I kind of smile at that. It's like, that's another 3-hour conversation, loving yourself.
Yes.
That's maybe a future episode. So would it be all right if I ask some personal questions?
Absolutely.
All right. What's a new thing you have tried recently?
So one of the new things that I've tried recently is using breath work, hyperventilating for about 20 minutes to get the conscious mind to step aside and figuring out what a block might be deep within. And I had this block that I knew was there, but I didn't know what it was. Even though I'm really good at this, I just couldn't get a hold of it. And hyperventilating for 20 minutes allowed me to do that. And this was the end result. I didn't even know what the block was. It was like I was holding myself back in this way of being spectacular. And this was the proof positive that if you and I were talking and you used the word, oh, yesterday I did this, the word yesterday might trigger like, oh, there's a Beatles song yesterday. In the past, that's where I would have stopped. And now I just go, yesterday, I just break into song, even though I can't sing. That there is no restriction anymore. When I want to show up, I show up fully. And so getting your conscious mind to step aside allows you to access the deep within you and create change magically.
Love
so hyperventilate.
Hyperventilate. I've seen that guy. What's his name? The ice guy.
Wim Hof.
Wim Hof. He does that ventilation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've done it. It's amazing. It feels good when I do it. Love it. Give me 2 of your favorite books.
So one is Let's Get Off Our Butts by Peter McWilliams.
Our butts.
And his butts as in not what you're sitting on, but Mustafa, I'd write a book, but it's not the right time. So those butts. It's amazing. And the other one is the difference between power versus force. I don't know who wrote it, but it shifted my mindset, because oftentimes what we try and do is we force ourselves to do something. And as soon as you bring force, you get resistance. And when you realize it's all about power, it changes everything.
Love it. What's one advice that made a big impact in life or business for you?
When I was about 17, 18, if Mustafa, you gave me a gift, let's say you decided to give me a Tesla, you'd be like, no, Mustafa, it's too much. Don't do that. You shouldn't have. And somebody wise, I don't even remember who took me aside, said, Umar, don't do that. If someone gives you a gift, don't deny them. You're still going to take the gift after all this pantomime and drama. That just say thank you and
Yeah.
mean it. And so that served me well. By the way, Mustafa, if you want to give me a Tesla, I will appreciate it.
You're not going to say no to that, I guess. Love it. Great advice. I learned about this, the same advice quite a few years ago, and it's been working well. Like give, let them enjoy the giving. Don't ruin it for them.
Don't deny them.
Yeah. Omar, if you had a Facebook or a Google message or ad that everyone around the globe with access to internet could see, what would your message be for the people of Earth?
There's a reason things are corny. And when people say love is the answer, they are not lying. So I'll give you two quick examples. When I look back at all the times when I was not at my best self, when I was petty, or I got my feelings hurt, or when I was a dick, and I go, what could I have done differently? The answer that comes back is always, if at that moment I had love in my heart, I would have acted differently. So a more practical version of that is I was playing tennis and I wanted to do better. And I went, this love business, does it really work? So instead of trying to win, I just brought love in my heart. And what happened instantly is I slowed my game down. I hit harder and I was more accurate just by dropping into the state of love. Do that in sales. It'll change your career.
Love it. Talking about love, when we were making outbound calls or cold calls or whatnot, when it changed for me was when I did it out of love and helping and serving people, and it just changed the game. It's like I'm calling to help. I'm calling to serve and support and love, and that made it a big difference. Omar, this has been an absolutely amazing and great conversation. Thank you for sharing all the wisdom. Is there anything that you'd like to share that we didn't get a chance before we get going?
No, I think we covered everything. If there's one thought, and before I give you the final thought, is thank you so much for this opportunity, because it's not so much that's going to go out there, but meeting interesting people and having these conversations, it would have been just as much value if we were just sipping a cup of coffee and it's just two guys. And if something you said or I said has an impact on someone else, that just is a blessing for both of us. And here's a message I'd like to give, is that there is a better you within you right now waiting to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And never doubt that.
For sure. Love it. Where can people find you?
Best place to find me is go on LinkedIn. It's Umar Hamid. You're going to put the link in the show notes. Go find that and go mindsetboosters.com. It's going to change your life. Absolutely.
So gang, do a search on LinkedIn for Omar, UMAR. Hamid is HAMEED on LinkedIn, and or go to mindsetboosters.com and get a hold of his app and improve your mindset. And if you wanted help with your mindset, with your sales game, with overall mindset, mindset is, to me, is like the foundation of everything. If the foundation is wrong, you're going to have problems. Right?
Absolutely.
So do reach out, have a conversation, and then tap into his knowledge and wisdom, and we'll go from there. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. Share it with someone that could boost their mindset, their confidence, their self-esteem, their sales game, and all that. And if you have any comments and feedback from watching what you just saw, put a comment on social media. We're going to get back to you as soon as we can, and we'll go from there. You've been listening to the Simple Marketing Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in our next episode. Bye now.
Adios.